Welcome to the Feed the Soul Company podcast. It's a space I've created to share my story and to encourage you to share yours. I'm your host, Liv Setla, and I can't thank you enough for being here.
Thank you, Livy. I'm so honored, seriously.
And I just want to say real quick, with me today is our special guest, Chloe Thomas. Chloe Thomas is a senior at UNLV. She plays volleyball. She's my teammate, and even more special, she's been my roommate since freshman year.
Yes.
There's been a year that we weren't living together, but I still count it like roomie since freshman year,
Yes.
since day one. Chloe is an absolute incredible person on and off the court. Some of her accolades right off the bat: freshman year, 3-time Mountain West Conference Freshman of the Week. Not just once or twice, but 3 times. Then, on top of that, from 2021 to 2023, she's been on the academic all-district team for the Mountain West Conference. And let's also throw in there, in 2023, Chloe was a part of the Global Challenge team for the Mountain West Conference, represented us super well, and was the MVP of that tournament over in Croatia. Is that correct?
Yes.
So, across the seas, at UNLV, everywhere in the conference, Chloe is a stud. So I know Chloe because she's my roommate, but I've always just looked up to Chloe, and since day one I met her, I've always just loved getting to know her, because not only is she this incredible athlete, she is so versatile, and off the court, getting to know her my first year, when we would talk about Marvel and talk about art and talk about different things that typical athletes aren't really interested in, I was like, this person is so awesome. And I've always just loved how she's been an example, at least for me, to be like, you know what, you can be a stud athlete and have all these interests off the court. So I'll let Chloe introduce herself. That's how I've seen her and who she is to me. But Chloe, tell the podcast who you are. Tell us about yourself.
Well, thank you, Liz. I'm Chloe. I grew up in Dallas, Texas. Most of my family's from Louisiana, so I'm a really Southern girl. Family is super important to me. Making relationships is super important to me. I call myself a leader. I like to get stuff done. I like to have fun. But I also like to have my own space a lot. Like Libby knows, I'll lock myself up in my room and take naps and read and all that.
Much needed.
Yeah. I'm majoring in anthropology at UNLV, and it's been the most fun, interesting coursework ever. I'm so glad. I originally came in and I was majoring in environmental engineering, and then I had to do physics, so I was like, let me switch it up and do something else.
Do that.
Yeah, but I've learned so much. All the professors here are so great, and so supportive, so I'm really happy that I switched over. But yeah, it's a little bit about me.
I want to ask actually a little bit more about that, just for the listeners, because when you go to visit UNLV, a lot of people don't know many anthropology majors.
Yeah.
And I've loved hearing about what you've learned in class. I get the pleasure of being your roommate and hear about what you learned, but tell us a little bit more about what that entails.
Yeah. So anthropology is prehistory, and etiology of stuff. So how we know what we know, I guess. And I've taken such a wide range of classes because, the anthropology department isn't this one path thing. You can do medicine, you could do archaeology, you could do ethnographies and culture. So I've gotten to dip a little bit into everything, but I've taken a class where we analyze bone and figure out how the people died, which is a little bit squeamy. I know for me, when I first got to class, I was like, this is not what I expected, but it ended up being a lot of fun. And then learning about different cultures around the world and how we can't apply what we do in our lives here in America to what other people are doing, because there's so many different cultural norms and practices that they think is normal. Even with eating, if someone saw us eat a Cheeto, they'd probably go crazy. That's so abnormal.
Yeah.
And then I haven't gone to go outside and dig or anything yet, because it's Vegas and it's
8 billion degrees.
Yeah. So when I get to do that, I hope it's in a controlled climate. But I'm really excited to see if I find anything if I do that.
Mm-hmm.
But Yeah.
Love that. I love that. So Southern Girl, you said, tell us how you came to UNLV.
I really wanted to get out of like my area. Like I wanted freedom, quote unquote.
Yes.
Like my my parents weren't very controlling, but I felt that way when I was like 16,
Mm.
obviously. So I was like, I want to get like as far away from you guys as possible. I don't regret that, but I wish they could come visit me more often. But yeah, I like not I didn't have a bunch of schools, but I made like a pros and cons list. Uh, I had like Dawn and Ariel and Mel recruiting me,
Mhm.
and it was Ariel most of the time because I was a middle,
Mhm.
being I was being recruited as a middle. So he was so awesome. I met him before because he did a clinic at Mad Frog when he coached for Rice, and
Mhm.
I was like, oh, this coach is awesome. It's so much fun. So when he like emailed me, I was really excited. And then I think they're like one of the only schools to offer me UNLV. So it was like this is a funny story, but I think I've told you before. I like accidentally
Yes,
committed.
yes.
Yeah.
I love this story.
So I remember like Dawn had called me and she was like, "Are you ready to be a rebel?" And I was like, "Yeah, I think I'm ready." But like I didn't know that that
It's
was
like,
me saying like,
yeah.
"Yes, I'm ready to
I'm
sign
ready
and
to
come to
commit
school."
to this school.
Yeah. So she was like, "Awesome." Like she like started going through all this stuff and I was like, "Oh shoot, I just like committed to come to UNLV." I remember it was like this is usually a decision like you get your parents and stuff on the phone, but I
Mhm.
was like just on the couch, like
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm
like
ready.
I'm ready. But I like go to my dad's office and I was like, I'm a rebel now, and he was like, oh. He like got
Oh.
up and hugged me, so it was like he was excited, but he was just like, oh,
That just happened?
yeah. So funny story, but that's how I
I
became a
love that
rebel.
story.
Yeah,
I actually super glad you mentioned this. I didn't know this about you as well, but similar process with me. I was like, I'm prepared to go wherever. I'm ready to leave the house,
hmm
and then now being here, it's okay that I'm far, but then um, now I wish my family could come visit more.
yeah,
And I didn't think about that in the recruiting process
me neither.
because a lot of that question is, are you okay being away? Are you okay going? But then that other second part is, well, are you okay with like your family not being able to visit you as much? I didn't even think of
Yeah,
that.
me neither at
Um,
all. And it's like Vegas too. Like, yes, flights are cheap, but it's like not easy to stay here, like,
hmm.
because they have to like stay at Caesars and it's $1 trillion a night.
Yes.
Like, so I guess like now that we're kind of locals, it's easier because I'm like, oh, we have a hotel like right down the street from our house, and we
Yes.
have the Hilton and whatever, so it makes it easier. But I did not think about that. Like Thanksgiving, I didn't think about how we can go
Exactly.
home,
Hmm.
and like, thank God, like I'm so grateful my family has come to Thanksgiving,
Hmm.
like very thankful. Um, but yeah, like I really didn't think about that like a single bit. I was like, I just want to get away.
Yeah.
I want to get as far as possible.
Yeah, and especially I guess we had this similar like few schools recruiting and actually offering.
Yeah,
So it's like, yeah, I can see myself making the stretch for the school. And then I mean, obviously I wouldn't change this for the
yeah,
world and I'm so
right.
glad this school has brought us together, but something to think about
Yeah,
and I want to hopefully other recruits when they go to different schools they think about that.
yeah,
Um okay, well, UNLV and Chloe Thomas, I know the life of a D1 volleyball player has not been easy. So I
no,
want you to share with me, share with us some challenges you faced. This can come from before your time at UNLV, what you've experienced here, and how did you overcome that?
yeah. I had like a little bit of injury like my freshman year. Like I was diagnosed with arthritis, which
I remember that. I
yeah,
remember
it's
that.
weird because I'm like, did it go away or like what's going on? But yeah, like and also this is kind of a little off topic, but I'll come back. But I remember like our freshman year, like we were all on the last rack and we were all like watching Marina clean
Hmm.
yellows and we were like, oh shoot, like we gotta get there. And I remember like it was like me and Dakota, I think like we had like some injuries, like our knees, classic middle stuff.
Yeah.
But like I couldn't do it and I was like so discouraged because I was like this little thing, like I know I could do it, but now I have to do like one leg squats in the corner while
Hmm.
everyone else is like grinding. Um, but now literally everybody's like cleaning blue, so it's like okay, like whatever senior's last rack,
And
like
now you're that rack we all look up to. That's pushing themselves, and you're cleaning way more than I've ever seen. So
yeah,
it's awesome that you've seen that growth or like seen that. Okay, I'm at this spot, and then 3, 4 years later, you're on the
Yeah.
opposite end of that.
Like we all wanted to be that, but we've like exceeded it. And it
Yes.
was like it was a different expectation too. Like I remember our freshman year, like I felt like if I didn't clean the yellow, I was like a loser.
Same.
But it's like, okay, we're cleaning way more than yellow.
Mm-hmm.
We're not making everybody else feel like a loser,
Mm-hmm.
and we're like emphasizing that it's your own journey
Mm-hmm.
with weights, especially because everybody's body is so different.
Absolutely.
Like that is something that like wasn't. It was like this is our standard. The standard is you have to clean a yellow instead of the standard is trying your hardest.
Right.
I guess it was so different.
I can definitely feel that shift now.
Yeah.
And it's really cool because we're still, even though we have this different framework of it, of the standard, we're still pushing ourselves. But it's not defined by a color of a weight or something so ambiguous, because we're still able to get everybody to push, because I think something we face is like, oh, well, maybe that's just them pushing themselves at that level, but then our team is so close that we're like at the level where we're like, no, even for you, I know you could do more than that. So
right.
Okay, so injury,
Mm-hmm.
that's been something just your freshman year or throughout all of this?
It was like just my freshman year. I haven't had like injury like I can't play.
Mm-hmm.
Very grateful for that, and the weight room is also a big factor. Like I've just gotten stronger. But I have had some like I had to get my knee drained the day before a game, like stuff like that. Going to get MRIs. I tore the tendon in my thumb.
Yes.
Completely forgot about that. Like that was actually the worst pain of my life. And I remember like the next game, Air Force was fine. I like toughed through that. But New Mexico game, like that was my worst game. I wouldn't say in my career, but it was a pretty bad game for me. And I was like, I remember like asking myself, like, why isn't Malia taking me out right now? Like, what is going on?
Mm-hmm.
And then it made me realize, like, you have a lot more to give than just kills.
Yes.
Like, volleyball isn't just points.
Mm-hmm.
It's being a teammate. It's setting up stuff for the defense. Like, talking, like all that, and I think that helped me realize like what I contribute besides like physicality.
Mm-hmm.
So
or strictly kills in that sense, like your presence, your leadership.
Yeah,
such a huge factor. I know I feel it.
Yeah, so I'm like glad that I got to experience that, even though like I remember being so down after the game, and like everybody was like getting ice cream and happy and stuff, and I was like, bro, like why is everybody like in a good mood? And I was like, oh, so we won. And and I did a good job, even though I didn't hit 1,000, like I stepped up in other ways. So that was, even though that was not fun and it hurt and I had to like play in a little cast, I understood like different things about myself, like on the court. So I still gained a lot from that one game.
I love that. I really love that. So I know we were talking about, okay, what was the challenge? What was so it was injury, physical injury.
Mm-hmm.
But then in talking about it, we kind of touched on some mental aspects of like the game, that game specifically. What are some areas that, or part of your mental game, maybe have you had a confidence hit or something that you were like, oh, I learned from this? What are some of your mental or experiences of the game through that mental aspect?
Yeah, I feel like I came in as a freshman being really, really hard on myself because I really, really wanted to play. And it's honestly like classic. Like everybody goes through that phase where like you stay up at night thinking about every mistake you made in practice. Mm-hmm. Like, and then I think my sophomore year I stopped caring, but it was like the other side of the spectrum. Like I stopped caring too much. So I make a mistake and I wouldn't like FRS, I wouldn't feel a recovery through it. I'd just be like, okay, like I wouldn't care about what I could do to make it better. Like I'd just be like, all right, I hit it out.
That's
next
it.
thing.
Yeah.
But like I wasn't like thinking about how to improve it. So like I had to, or like going back to that a little bit, like Arian would set me a ball and maybe it was her, maybe it was me, but I'd be like, bro, I don't know. And I would go off. Like that was my vibe.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a great season my sophomore year. But like when when it's time for me to step up as a leader, like my junior year, like that didn't cut anymore. So I had to like actually think about what I was doing. I couldn't be mindless when I was playing. Like I think I've struggled with presence a little bit my sophomore year. So that was something I had to really think about going into my junior year. Yeah.
Okay, I love everything you just said. You brought up couple different aspects I want to ask about. Um, First, that transition, like, okay, I'm thinking about things too much, I'm caring too much, and then the, okay, now I'm not caring at all. And then through junior, senior year, you're trying to find that medium of like caring enough, being present enough, but not too much to where it's eating at you at night.
Yeah.
How have you found that? Are you still playing with it? Tell us through your process with that.
I think I'm still like figuring it out, but I've learned through like going to Global Challenge and like art games in Hawaii that I play best when I feel free, like outside the gym. So like when I can come in the gym and everybody like isn't asking me 10 billion questions because everybody knows what we're doing, and then I can go home and not have to think about like making a open gym practice plan, and like I can eat and watch TV and go outside and go for a walk and read. Like,
You can be a normal student athlete.
yeah, like I think number one, like the leadership, like that burden, for lack of a better word, kind of like hurt my journey a little bit, because I just had to learn the ropes. Like I had to learn how to balance that.
Yeah.
But like I feel like making leadership easy on myself, like that work and home separation was really important for me. Yeah.
I really like that. Now, okay, we talked a little bit more of that leadership, and you touched on it. Like, it hurt. I use air quotes, but then you're just being asked more of you, so you're being asked to grow.
Yeah.
You're not just a student athlete performing at a high level. You're a leader, also dealing with a lot of other, I guess, pressures, burdens. Do you want to talk to us a little bit about that? About what else
Yeah.
kind of goes on in your day?
I think like being a leader, like you have to be used to being misunderstood a little bit. Like you have to be used to people thinking the worst of your intentions. Like especially when you're new at it, because you're forced to like use your voice a little bit more. You're forced to tell people what to do. Like you're in a whole new like space, and your job is to make people respect you as that title, I guess. So it took a lot of getting used to, like beginning of my junior year, because I just felt like everybody like hated me because I would go up to them in weights and be like, bro, that's too easy. Or like someone make a mistake and laugh, I'd be like, hey, that's not funny. Like stuff like that.
Yeah,
Like
you're holding people accountable. You're being a leader.
So like, and people don't like that. Like I don't like it sometimes when someone tells me what to do. I'm like, bro, like leave me alone. But that's like that barrier that you have to push past, like being hated a little bit, just so people can be like, oh, she told me to pick up this weight because it's like, oh, I see why. Like I'm a little more sore today because I got through that last thing. Like, and become grateful for it. And they don't always have to tell me, but like I can see now, like Fatima will see me walk up to her and wait, she'd be like, all right, I'll go get them.
I'm going.
And I'm like, see, like it's a lot better once people get used to it, though. Like you can't expect immediate results.
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah.
Okay, so now I want to ask, from that transition of, not that you weren't a leader freshman, sophomore year, definitely a huge presence, but then when that label came of, okay, I'm stepping into this leadership role, how was that transition for you when it was like, okay, now I have to, like you said, do things that I don't necessarily want to do. I don't even want to do it sometimes. So how was that going from not having to do it, starting to do it, and then now you're kind of doing it every day?
It was obviously really uncomfortable, especially with like, because I felt like all of our team was like around the same age. So I'm telling Arian and Gar, who are older than me, what they need to do, but not necessarily telling them and being like, hey, can we hold ourselves to this higher standard? Yeah, like I guess rewording it as well. Like you can't be like, hey, go do this, hey, go do that. People do not respond to that well, no matter what your intentions are. You can't say, do this now, especially when you're not on top of your stuff. And I'm the same way. Like when other people are like stepping up in that leadership role, I'm like, okay,
let's check yourself too. Yeah.
But then I'm like, okay, like I have to rethink on my part too. Like, oh, they're just trying to get it moving, something like that. But like also with disc, I'm going on kind of like a tangent.
No, I actually kind of wanted to hit on disc too, so I'm glad you're bringing it up.
Yeah. So a lot of our team are yellows, and I'm a red, so I'm like a dominant personality. Yellow people are like really into relationships and like for lack of a better word, like kindness. Like they really think about their delivery. I had to start doing that. Like, and not because I thought that everybody would be angry with me if I spoke my mind. I'm not afraid of my opinions or my thoughts. Like I will freely speak. But I had to like repackage what I was saying, and I had to like kind of like program myself to do that. Like, and not once again, not because people didn't like me or people like wouldn't like hearing it. It's just because everything is so much better received in general.
Yeah.
When it's like a, hey, do you guys all want to do this?
Yes.
Hey, you guys ready to go? Like stuff like that is, it's so much easier if you be like, yeah, I am ready to go. Like
Right.
I am ready to like do this. I will pick up that bigger weight. Like yeah, so I guess like rewording what I say, it comes a lot easier now. But like imagine being like a junior, everybody's like your age or older, and you're trying to like
start doing it.
Yeah, like,
and it's like I remember actually we were talking about it one night, and it was this conversation like I feel like I'm in this weird spot because we are all the same age.
Yeah.
And now I'm supposed to be your leader, which is kind of superior, but again, the way we lead isn't okay, now you're in front of, or telling us what to do.
Yeah.
It's I'm doing it with you. You're still leading by example, still doing it with us, but you still have to have those moments where it's like I'm going to be holding you accountable.
Yeah.
So I can definitely see where those feelings and that dynamic would switch, and learning how to repackage it would help you with the team we have.
So true.
So we've just gone over some physical challenges, injuries, mental side of for yourself, learning how you play the game best, and then also expanding that when you're with your team and becoming in a different role with that leadership aspect. Tell us more aspects of maybe your story being a Division I volleyball player that if we were to Google Chloe Thomas, you're not going to find this, but this is kind of important to you and your story because it's made you who you are.
I'll say comparison killed me.
Like, tell us more.
My first 2 years here, I would always look at the next person, and obviously, like it kind of mentioned, I needed to clean it yellow. Didn't matter, like I didn't have the form. We were using the wooden dowel, but I was like, okay, I need to do that. Why can't I do that? And it, like those like little like stages of growth, I like didn't understand. I wanted to go from wooden dowel to cleaning yellow the next day. I wanted to go from being a middle to being a right side the next day. Like I didn't understand. I wanted instant gratification all the time, which is also something that's very human. But I had to understand that there's a journey for everything. Like my sophomore year, like between like that spring, I remember Dawn didn't let me hit a ball like normal because I didn't have good footwork. So every day I was with Eleni and I was doing a flamingo. Like I was doing, was it like you stay on one leg and then you do your last? I was doing that every day. I didn't get to hit a ball. I had to go like side, side, back, back. Like I had to work on my timing. I had to do all that before I could hit a normal ball, because all of the previous season I was hitting the right side like I was a middle, because it was summer. We didn't have time to like strip me down of all my like habits and stuff. So I had to like go through that. That was such a tough time. Like I can't even believe I made it through. Like I wanted to quit volleyball. In spring of freshman year was just also like
for our listeners, I do want to just add real quick. Chloe was a middle in club volleyball.
Yeah.
Then coming to UNLV, played some middle, but then mostly was transitioning to that right side. And so when she talks about that transition, that's where it's coming from. And then spring, I guess, was just really breaking it down.
Yeah.
So.
Approach to arm swing like volleyball stuff here, but like when you swing as a middle, like you have to like be like here, like chicken wingy kind of, and like
really short, really
like,
quick,
be ready to like get that fastball. But when you're on like a pin, you really have to like go get it. Like your arm needs to be long. And I honestly still struggle with, like, Frank was asking me why I hit like this, and I was like, maybe it's my 10 years of middle training before I got here, but like you have to, like, you really have to go get the ball with your hand. Like you have to find it. And I had I struggled doing that my freshman year. So if there was a bad set, it was a bad set. There's nothing I could do about it because I hadn't learned how to adjust to stuff like that. But yeah, like my sophomore year, like it got better during season, obviously, but that spring was brutal.
Brutal.
Yeah,
Um, Thanks for sharing that.
yeah.
I actually, the comparison thing, uh, super cool because I kind of, I didn't know it,
Hmm.
but hearing you say it, it's like, oh yeah, like that's so real. And then that position change, and then you mentioned earlier you were super hard on yourself. So all of these things that you're learning, unlearning, relearning, super cool to hear about and just listen to your process of
Yeah.
the different things that you've had to adjust to and change. So, Chloe Thomas, tell me what a day in the life looks like for you in season. And we have off season too, but just give us a little rundown of all of the things you have to do in a day.
Well, I like taking in-person class, so that means getting up early, and I usually do that. Like, I'll pick out my outfit the night before. It's usually like athletic stuff because I'm an athlete, and uh, I always like start off trying to have like some personal style, and then I'm like, okay, where are my sweats? Like,
Yeah.
just want to do something easy. But I wake up, do my morning routine. I don't really do anything special. Like, I just brush my teeth, wash my face, put on clothes, and leave. And then I go to Fertitta to eat breakfast,
Mm-hmm.
which is our football complex, and they have breakfast there every morning. I get something to eat. I usually like go back to the locker room, do some homework, like watch some YouTube, whatever, and then I'll walk to class. It's usually like hour 15 minutes, and then I usually bust it back to the gym because I get out at like 11:15. You lift at noon. I have to eat. I have to like get dressed, get some treatment, do my rehab, like all in 45 minutes. So if I didn't pack my lunch, I'll stop by the student union, grab something to eat. We have weights in practice. Get some treatment after, do some rehab after, and then I usually go home. Weird thing about me, but I make sure to do all of my homework the Sunday before the week,
Nice.
unless it's like my in-person class, because obviously it's on campus. But I'll make sure like everything is done that Sunday before, just so that if I miss something, I have a whole week to do it, but also so I can go home and do literally nothing. So I'll go home, um, shower. I am a person that will put my headphones on and pace around my room just to like decompress. And Libby knows this because
Yeah.
I wore my headphones, I wore her headphones. She's probably walked in on me looking crazy.
No, not looking crazy, but I'll like knock on her door and you won't answer, but I'm like, I know she's in there. I'm like, oh wait, she's got her headphones in.
Yeah.
Let me.
So, um, like I'll pace. I'll like do a little bit of reading. I always read before bed just to like turn my mind off a little bit because that's something I struggle with too. Um, I love watching movies. I have like a list of movies like that are must watch for me. It's like every movie that like a woman has won an Oscar in. It's like really
Mm.
weird. I'm like halfway through it. I started it my sophomore year. Started my list, so I'll like look for one of those. Yeah, I'm a big like TV media consumer.
Love that.
Like I love watching YouTube videos that are really stupid and make me feel like I'm 12.
I love YouTube
But
for that.
yeah,
It's
like
so awesome.
yeah. So and then I'll go to bed. But that's probably like a day in my life. Nothing cray.
I love that. And I mean, you kind of answered it already because as D1 athletes, we have a lot of things to do.
Hmm.
And we have a pretty packed schedule. And so, my big question is with the free time that we do have, how do you feed your soul? How do you take care of yourself? And you've listed many different ways
Yeah.
reading, pacing around your room, finding different videos to watch. Um, what I love, and I mentioned it in the beginning, I love how you have many different interests, and it's
Hmm.
kind of inspired me to like really embrace who I am.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, Chloe, that's Chloe, and she's so awesome because she's really embracing who she is. So I want to do that too. How did you find what makes you feel good? Maybe for our listeners who are figuring out how to take care of themselves, or like it even sounds like the big thing what I was kind of picking up on when you were explaining your day, it was like you had things throughout your day. So you come in the locker room, you had your process of like um, maybe watch something or some downtime,
Hmm.
then, and then also again at night.
Yeah.
How did you figure out that worked for you?
I don't really know. I think that like we have so many resources here at UNLV. Like we have Dr. Chad, we have like journaling. Like I try to do all the things like that you see here that you see on like TikTok where it's
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, like cook and do whatever. And I tried all of it and I was like, I'm just overcomplicating my life. Like
Mm,
I want to sit in my room, listen to music. So I'm gonna do that because like I really don't like stress. I guess I realized that like I don't like doing a bunch of extra stuff. So now I get frozen pizza instead of trying to, make a meal.
make a
If I
whole
Yeah,
meal.
if I really want to, I'll do it.
Yeah.
But like I've learned that uh work smarter, not harder is probably like a big mantra for me. Like
Nice.
just not that I want to coast through life. Like I'm gonna make it tough at school. I'm gonna make
Mm-hmm.
it tough at the gym and make it tough like in the weight room. I'm gonna make it tough in like those things that I want to challenge myself in. I don't want to challenge myself on the stove. So yeah, I'm
That's
gonna use
so
a
real.
microwave and I'm gonna go on about my day. Like letting myself like not stress but really push myself in the things that I'm like really, really passionate about. Cause I do feel like you said, like I dip myself into a lot of things. Like I love theater. I take acting classes like once a semester. I love going to like the shows at GD Bailey here at UNLV. Um, my anthropology classes are so cool, but they're also like really like stressful and sometimes really gory. So like I'll make sure that when I turn on my computer to watch a movie or TV show, it's not something that's also like killing people, be
Mm.
like, oh, like here's me playing Minecraft. Like something
Yeah.
like to like help my brain like remember to have fun, I guess.
Yes.
So like if I go home, I'm not someone that likes to watch film of myself volleyball wise, so I'll go watch Brazil or something because they're just so fun to watch.
Yeah.
And I'll pick up things there instead of trying to like nitpick my every move at practice.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's something like I just would much prefer to like remind myself to like decompress and have fun. Like find the things that make life great when I'm not like pushing myself in those areas.
So I'm so happy that we were able to have this conversation and you're
Huh.
sharing all of this because you've known me for a long time
Mm.
and I feel like I'm still learning how to have fun. It
Yeah.
sounds so dumb, but I'm not going to get into it too much or explain the best I can without going on a long tangent. But like you'll push yourself. But for me, I have a hard time separating where I push myself, where I don't. So
Yeah.
it's like, okay, like you've been able to very clearly define, you know what, it's okay. I can have microwave pizza or I can have easy meals. I don't need to be the best chef, at
Yeah.
least right now in this phase of our life. For me, I think I've been like, okay, well, now I need every single thing I do in my day, I have to maximize it, even things that don't need to be maximized.
Yeah.
So like, um, and this is why I loved hearing you explain the different media you watch and how you're intentional about it, but you're not like stressing over it. And it's like, because for me, I know I'm a deep thinker. You know, I like philosophical things, but then um, watching a philosophical movie will drain me.
Yeah.
And on the opposite end of that, I know you are also someone like we'll have conversations about changing the world every other day.
Yes.
But like what about like we could just that's also another reason why I love you, like your perception and thoughts on life. And it could be so big and grand and complex. But then I love how you also embrace the simple. Like
Yeah.
it can be super dumb and funny in Minecraft and like that's how you recharge.
Yeah.
So that's just me speaking on like what I'm learning from you, as you talk about what works for you. But I just loved hearing about that. Um, as far as the recovery side goes, we've talked about hobbies, reading, watching movies, and things like that. Um, is there anything else that you find helps you kind of feel better after a long day that you can think of or want to share?
Hmm. I will say I recently put screen time on my Instagram and TikTok
Hmm.
because I could scroll for hours. And I don't know what's going on lately, but like everything is rage bait and everything is like remind me that like of where I live, and like we have an election in November, and like all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like it's just like clogging my brain. So I try to make sure like I've especially like I come to the library once a week. I pick out 3 books and I try to get through them throughout the week. And it's always like I always want it to be something like cool and fun and like mysterious that distracts me from like what's going on to a certain extent. Obviously, I want to be in the know. I'll like watch the news, but yeah, just making sure that I'm not like getting too hung up on stuff because I am definitely someone that can make themselves feel like they have the weight of the world on their shoulders. Like think 2020 TikTok, like I was posting, like I was so political and like so like, oh, like they're putting this in our drinking water. That's not real. I never said that. But like I would like always like try to find problems with like the world around me. And so I'm not trying to say like ignorance is bliss, but like you have to find the balance of like making sure you're educated and in the know and also making sure that you like enjoy your life
And don't
because
overload yourself with
yeah,
information.
because it can be like really, really depressing. You could put yourself in a hole and like be like, what's the whole point if this is what like everybody else is doing?
Yeah.
But like you, it's really hard to live that way. I'll say that. So
Absolutely, and especially for someone who loves media, and in taking that to reset, you got to be careful and not, do too much or
Yeah.
watching what you are kind of taking in. So that definitely makes sense.
yeah,
Well, you've answered all my big questions, and that's all I have scripted. But is there anything else you want to share with the podcast?
Libby's awesome.
Thanks, Chloe.
Like you're talking about our freshman year, I think literally the first day we walked into like the kitchen after weights and we were like, what should we make? And I think we both were like avocado toast. Cool.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I remember this.
And we used to eat it literally every day. We'd have avocado toast. Sometimes we'd like throw a tomato or an egg on there, and then we'd have yogurt and granola every day. And then I also remember the first day, like I don't know if I was talking about like horoscopes or something, but you're like what are you? And like we just like got into this whole conversation, and like we did like a Myers-Briggs test after that, and like all like the cool little personality things, and then
the Hogwarts one.
Yes, and then we went to that shady like
Oh
place
my
to go.
gosh, guys, Chloe and I, so we're into this stuff, right? Like I would say that we both are interested in horoscopes. It doesn't define our life,
Right.
but it's like cool to know,
Yeah.
fun little thing. So I was like, Chloe, like it'd be cool if we just got like a reading by like a psychic or something. And we're in Vegas, so there's a lot of them. I don't know how we found this one, but it was like it seemed fine.
Yeah.
And then we get there, and I basically get scammed.
Yeah.
And it was in this shady area, but another great story I have with Chloe. But
yeah, like it's just like cool because I always felt like whenever I would like ask people about like their horoscopes or their Hogwarts house and like their favorite Marvel character, everyone was like, okay, like bro, grow up. So like felt like refreshing to have someone that was like, oh yeah, and this happened in Endgame and whatever. And I was like, yes, like someone that like appreciates the same like stupid stuff that I do. Like, yeah.
Aw, Chloe, I didn't know that. Thanks for sharing.
Of course.
Well, here we are wrapping up your episode of this podcast. But I said it in the beginning, but I seriously can't thank you enough for being here. It means the world to me, and thank you for sharing your story.
Of course. Thank you, Libby.
Of course. And we'll see you guys next time on the next episode.
Yeah.